I am Sir Humphrey Gilbert, the second son of Otho Gilbert and Catherine Champanon. My family ancestors date back to the early 14th century, when in 1329 Geoffrey Gilbert married Joan de Compton, heiress of Compton Castle. Adventurer, explorer, member of Parliament and soldier, my greatest conquest was in 1583, during the reign of good Queen Bess, in claiming Newfoundland for the English crown. This is my story. I was born into the age of discovery, an exciting time of exploration of the unknown world. My half-brother is Sir Walter Raleigh, the famous adventurer. As children we longed for adventure, inspired by the like of the great discoverer, Christopher Columbus. Educated at Eton and the University of Oxford, I learned to speak French and Spanish and studied the arts of war and navigation. As a boy, I was introduced into the court life of Princess Elizabeth by my great-aunt Kate Ashley. Her Majesty grew a great fondness for me and my brothers. Nevertheless, she was reluctant in supporting our ambitions. At 23, I joined the English garrison under the command of Lord Dudley, Earl of Warwick, in defence of the siege of Le Havre by the French. Although badly wounded, I survived what was to be a disastrous campaign. I dreamt of finding a western route to China, round the northern tip of America. In 1566, arguing that an alternative passage existed, I drew up a discourse for discovery, addressing it to my elder brother, Sir John Gilbert. In the same year, as Colonel of Chief of Munster, I served in Ireland, where with ruthless efficiency I successfully quelled an uprising in the country. For my services, I was knighted on behalf of Her Majesty by Lord Deputy of Ireland, Sir Henry Sidney. At 31, I married Anne Orcher, who gave me 6 sons and a daughter, and in the following year, 1571, I was to represent Plymouth in Her Majesty's Parliament. Having for several years petitioned the Queen for a licence and favour to enterprise, entreating Her Majesty not to delay, for the wings of man's life are plumed with feathers of death. In 1578, Her Majesty granted me a 6-year licence, giving me permission to search and seek out territories for the Crown along the eastern seaboard of America. In my attempt to defuse Her Majesty's loath to antagonise Spain, I invested my own personal resources into assembling a fleet of 7 ships at Dartmouth, comprising of the HMS Squirrel, named after the family crest. We sailed from Plymouth on the 26th of September. Unfortunately, our ships were scattered and driven back by bad weather. Although I had to concede the expedition a defeat and financial disaster, I remained undaunted. In 1580, I commissioned a Portuguese pilot, Simon Fernandez, to survey the Northern American coastline, looking for a more suitable site for a new colony. To finance a second expedition, Royal support was vital. However, Her Majesty was at first lukewarm, marking me down as a man noted of not good hap, luck by sea. However, my brother, Sir Walter Raleigh, managed to change her mind, so much so that I received from the Queen a very excellent duel, an anchor of gold set with 29 diamonds, with portrait of Her Majesty the Queen. On the 11th of June 1583, I set sail for Plymouth in my flagship, the Delight, Walter following me in the bark Raleigh, our destination Newfoundland. Unfortunately, Walter had to turn back after only 2 days, pleading disease and shortage of supplies. Eventually, on the 3rd of August, I landed at St. John's, which I promptly claimed for Her Majesty and England. I was delighted with what we found, which was a very rich domain, the country being full of numerous variety of provisions. My crew were less impressed, believing that they'd been lured to America by the promise of Spanish gold. Setting sail on the return voyage, on the 29th of August, disaster struck. The Delight, the largest ship in the fleet, ran aground and was wrecked, 80 crewmen drowned. In despair, I turned for home. I now had only 2 vessels left, the Tiny Squirrel and the Golden Hind. Despite its fragility, I was determined to make the Atlantic crossing in the Squirrel. I would not forsake my little company going homeward, with them whom I had passed so many storms and perils.
In the afternoon, the Squirrel was near cast away, oppressed by waves, yet at this time recovered. And giving for signs of joy, the general, sitting abaft with the book in his hand, cried unto the Hind, so often did we approach within hearing,
We are as near to heaven by sea as by land.